If I would have known these three things when I was considering excavation as a career path, it would have made my life so much easier. I could have slept so much sounder. My name is Chad. This is Excavation Revelation, where efficient excavation strategies are revealed. Back in high school, I was constantly daydreaming out the window, looking outside, wanting to be outside, trying to think of what I want to do when I grow up. I loved being in the dirt, and I loved just being around machines. Grew up on a farm, so heavy equipment really caught my attention. And I was pretty certain I wanted to be an operator, but I never really operated much besides a Bobcat skid loader that we had on our farm. And then just something got me into it, and I decided I wanted to do that for a living and pursue that in college. I just want to share with you three main reasons that I didn't even consider at that time that had I known, I would have been so much better off. But I'm still glad I made my choice. I love operating equipment, but these three reasons just make it so much even better. The first reason, heavy equipment operators are always needed. You're always needed for excavation. There's always a need, period. People are always building. The scope of life is always changing. Construction projects in cities, houses being built, developments, road work. There are so many places that operators are needed. It's never going to go out of style. There's always going to be a need. It's also a great way to help people. People always need help. They need something moved in their yard, grass planted. They need a pile moved. They need their driveway extended, paved, widened, something dug out to add onto their house. There's just always a need to help people. And it's a fulfilling endeavor to do that. It's just a good feeling. Somebody needs something and you could provide a service for them to make their life better, their house better, their environment better. The environment always needs shaped. It's a great thing to shape the world we live in. There's an excavating company out there that's their motto, shaping the world we live in. And that's so true. We can always improve areas, make them work better for our needs. And it's just a great way to be able to help people. Another reason that heavy equipment operators are always needed is events like storm cleanup. There's always going to be storms in the future, whether it's a tornado, hurricane, flooding. We've all seen tremendous tornadoes go through areas. They wipe out towns, and there's just debris left everywhere, trees mangled, cars upside down. And it takes heavy equipment to get that stuff cleaned up and things restored somewhat back to normal. It's just a great way to help people, and there's always going to be a need for it. Point number two, something I never really considered, but it was something very cool once I got into it. You get to see a lot of cool places, and you get to meet a lot of great people. You could work on numerous different projects, whether you have a niche that you get into or whether you're on road work. You get to travel many miles of highway, get to see many miles of things. You can be in the gas industry where you get to go to different gas wells. Most of them are way back in the country, rural roads, nice farms, wooded areas. You get to see some things that most people won't get to see. Sometimes you get to do some work in some private estates, sometimes some high end. For example, I was doing work years ago. We were just basically restoring these fields that were cleared. We were planting grass and stuff, and there was this SUV that drove by, and they rolled down their window and started waving. And it took me a second, but then it dawned on me it was Arnold Palmer, like the golfer. It was just neat to see him out and about, and he waved. Just a nice guy, and you never know who you're going to run into out there. I've been on job sites. We were working in Pittsburgh one time, and across the road there's Merrill Lemieux walking his dog. So he's a very nice guy, by the way. So you just never know. Sometimes you get to go out to some cool places, meet some nice people. You also get to work with some really great people, whether they're concrete guys, bricklayers, pavers. You get to be on different job sites if you're in developments or different plans, and you get to see different people and see how they work, and you can really create some relationships, do some networking, and really get to act with these guys on more than one job site. Demolition. I've been on demolition projects where we tore down some really cool places. It was kind of, some of them were a shame. Some of them had fire damage. I tore down a Ford garage one time, and I tore it down, I went inside to scope it out, and just a lot of neat things, a lot of cool history in that building. But they moved to a different place, they were expanding, so it was, at the end of the day, it was for the better. But it was just so neat to see some of that stuff. I also did demolition one time in an old John Deere dealership. They were also expanding, moving elsewhere, and we got to ride on some of the equipment that they used for their parts department, some different conveyors and elevators they had in there, something that I would never have got to do otherwise. Also colleges. Colleges. I've worked at numerous different colleges. You get to see some beautiful campuses, and they're always going to need work. Their colleges are always updating things. They're always expanding. They're always renovating, and there's always going to be there at colleges, especially. My third point, a reason I never considered when I was considering excavation, is that you can make a good living. Yeah, of course, I did the research, checked the numbers to see what the average salary was. According to salary.com, actually, today, in 2022, the average salary for an excavating operator is $68,000 a year, which is pretty decent. Yeah, there can be some overtime, so there's some wages that are factored in that way, but $68,000, you can make a pretty comfortable living making that. I think the average household, or the average person last year made $52,000, so heavy equipment operators are above the average. And of course, there's different scopes, whether you're in the union, you're doing state work, you're doing highway work. There's different pay levels, but yeah, the average pay was $68,000. That's pretty good. But when I say good living, I also mean things like it's a comfortable environment. Most of the time, the machines today, they're so nice. Air conditioning, radio. You're in a closed cab. You're outside still, but you're out of the weather if it starts to rain. You got your air conditioning on, and you can just go about your thing, whether you're loading a truck or you're on a dozer stripping topsoil. They make some really nice machines, and you're very comfortable. You're not beating up your body. Yeah, there's going to be times you get out there in labor, you're out there in the sun, but that also helps break up the day. But the majority of the time, especially if you're a skilled operator, you're going to be in that machine where it's nice and comfortable. Another reason for a good living is some people are just designed to see progress made. They like building things, they like constructing, and it's a point of satisfaction. You can actually see at the end of the day something that you've accomplished. And whether you're in an office or something along those lines, you don't always get to see that. So some people are just designed to that. It's a fulfilling need that you're seeing progress met each and every day. I mentioned also state and government work. Every state has different jobs, whether they're highway jobs, DOT, even government work. These jobs, they pay pretty well. They pay top dollar per hour. They also pay into fringe benefits, something I never really considered. It's just additional pay to your extra pay, kind of as a benefit. And you can make a really good living, especially if you're doing some of those jobs. And most of the time, if you're in excavating, you have access to equipment, whether your boss lets you or just somebody else you work with. You can normally borrow machines pretty easily if you've got a project going on at your house, if you're doing some renovating, or even building. I built years ago and my boss was nice enough to let me use whatever machine I wanted. I just fueled and greased it on my own. But still, it saved me so much money just by having the access to the machines that he had. He was nice enough to let me use them, which most companies will let you do so. You can save a lot of money that way. So those are my 3 quick points. I just want to share reasons why to consider when you're becoming an operator that I never really thought of. They're always needed. You're going to see great and cool places, meet great people, and you're going to make a good living. At the end of the day, when life is over, it can be very short. Time flies. Before you know it, you're going to be older. You may as well do something that you enjoy, that there's a need for, you get to get fulfillment from, and you get to make a good living doing. So I highly recommend becoming a heavy equipment operator. It's just a very fulfilling career. So if you would, just leave a comment what you thought some of those points I've made. Maybe there's something I didn't mention. Maybe you're an operator already and you have a different perspective, something that sold you that I didn't even mention, I didn't even consider. Or maybe you're just trying to consider equipment operating. What would be a reason that you would think of that would be a benefit of being an operator? Let me know. Leave a comment.